Rohan Patel comic book movie. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you too. I love your show. It's so good.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
so I just wanted to get started because like your show doesn't waste any time. Where it's like it's a welcome change of pace where Jennifer just accepts being a superhero. So there's no like we don't get like 6 episodes and then like the last like one she decides to be a superhero. So what was it like that you wanted to accomplish with her story? Just like where did you want to get it from point A to point B from episode 1 to episode 9?
I didn't want to spend a lot of time with an origin, because I feel like we want to get to the meat of this. Like, let's get to the fun stuff that we want to see, which is this 6'7" Hulk having to be a lawyer and having to deal with like superhero issues, but also like regular 30-something working professional issues, the so like we didn't want to spend more than one episode on like the origin and what happened, because we wanted to just get right to it and have the fun of the episode. Because what's great about half-hour comedies is that you can be episodic, and that was really important to be able to tell like a full story, beginning, middle, and end for each episode, even though there is a seasonal arc that kind of goes through it. But like you would be able to watch in one episode and just feel like you watched a complete story.
Yeah, I enjoyed that part of it too. And so, like, you have Tatiana Maslany as your leading lady, who is, as we've seen, in Orphan Black, is like who's capable of pretty much anything. So, like, when you're writing this show, and like when you're writing moments for Jennifer, were there any moments where you felt like, I wonder if she can pull that off, or were you like, I know she can pull that off. Let me make it a little crazy or a little more challenging.
After working with her, I fully believe that she can do literally anything. I think she
Mm.
can play any role, probably on the same show. I mean, obviously on the same show, she can play multiple roles. She's so talented. And this was also like a physically demanding role, the amount of work she had to do and, the amount of extra things she had to do in order to play a CG character. And she did everything just perfectly, and added so much to what was already on the page. I mean, truly, I genuinely believe she can do anything.
Yeah, same here. And so, like, the show answers some big questions about the MCU that people are like in the back of people that like the Captain America one. So, like, were there any questions that you didn't get a chance to answer this season, or is this something maybe to look forward to this season?
Um, we just make a lot of references to things that have already happened in the MCU. There were, the only times that we really had to pull back and not mention something is if we were a little too mean poking fun. Um,
Yeah,
but in general, there are little bits, and you kind of just get little bits and details of that are references to at what point we are here in the timeline, and that kind of bring back some of the things, some threads and details from previous movies that you might have felt like were dropped, or you might have felt like, hey, let's check in on what was going on with that.
yeah. I think the big question that everyone's thinking about is the giant dude in the ocean from Eternals. But so like it's I think like your show makes a good point. It's like being a superhero is a little bit ridiculous at the end of the day, and so but you also get to play with so many characters like Hulk, Wong, Abomination, and you're going to get to introduce Daredevil in a few episodes. Was there anyone you weren't allowed to introduce, or who was out of those characters that you were like, I cannot wait to write for this character?
There were a lot of, we mined the movies and we mined the comics for characters that we wanted to pull in that we thought would have that would be really funny to see, like how, if we were going to use this character, what's a funny reason for them to be in legal trouble? Like, why would they end up in a trial or in a courtroom? And we pulled a lot of characters from the comics, but I would say like a third to almost half of the time we would be told we can't use it, either because there was a rights issue or because there was already plans for them in the MCU that don't involve us. So those were always kind of bummers, because we don't get pretty far down the road where we'd already come up with a story that we kind of fell in love with before we were told you can't do it because we're already using it somewhere else or because of rights. In terms of the MCU, I think the biggest bummer for our specific writers room was not being able to use anybody from Spider-Man, because we just had so
Hmm.
many like diehard Spider-Man fans in the room.
Yeah. That would have been so fun. And so, like, speaking, I don't want to spoil who it is, but there is a very big cameo from a musician in, I think, episode 2 or 3. But so, how did that come together? Was that written, or was that just like we need a musician, or did you have that part in mind for that person?
We knew we needed a very famous and beautiful, like desirable woman, you know, like female celebrity. And
Mm,
didn't have to be music centric, but that would help, certainly help, you know. And you know, we thought about a lot of different kinds of people, but really this person came up because one of our other actors like knew her personally, and when we heard that we could have her, I mean, we just couldn't believe. I mean, it was probably the greatest day of all of our lives. And Tatiana was such an enormous fan of hers that, I mean, I think it was her dream come true.
oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love the post credits you guys have for every episode too. And so, like, I have to ask, since you are working with Marvel Studios now, it's like where it's all mystery, 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 mystery. So, what is it like working with Kevin Feige as your producer? And I also have to ask, like, how big of a Rick and Morty fan is he? Since he's working with you and Michael and Jeff on different projects.
I know. I feel like, you know what? It just kept working for them. So they were like, well, why stop the strategy? But I really love Kevin. Like working with him has been like probably one of the greatest joys of my professional life, because I mean, I hate to add to the mountains of compliments he's constantly getting, but like reluctantly, I have to confirm it is true. He is brilliant. He truly is the creative genius that everybody says he is. He is, I think, the best creative producer working in Hollywood today. And he's also just like a nice dude who's very easy to talk to. And part of the reason I respect him so much is he lets me be incredibly mean to him, and he lets me bully him constantly. And I don't think any other president of the studio would ever let me do that. But he also just comes up with like brilliant ideas. There were so many elements in the show that were his pitches, and he's truly egoless, because there have been times where he'll pitch a really good idea and I'll be like, that's great, and I'll use it, I'll put it in a script, and then weeks later he'll read the script and he'll have forgotten that it was his idea, and he'll say, oh, that was really smart, that was great, and I'd be like, no, that was your idea, dummy. Like, how did you forget this brilliant idea that saved the script?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. This has been so great. I really enjoyed She-Hulk, and I can't wait to see the rest. And I hopefully everyone's gonna love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.